My sister is standing in front of 200 art collectors, about to unveil the centerpiece of her career-defining exhibition. She's smiling at the cameras, soaking in the applause, confident that she's about to claim credit for 3 years of my work. She thinks the woman standing quietly in the corner with a catalog is just another gallery assistant. She doesn't know that woman is Elena Rossi, the investigative journalist from Art and Authenticity magazine. And the manila envelope in her bag isn't a press kit. It's a forensic report proving every painting in this room came from my studio. If you're watching this, tell me what creative betrayal you've witnessed, or just drop a comment about where you're from. The Hartwell Gallery smelled of fresh paint and expensive wine. Soft classical music floated through the space as Manhattan's art elite wandered between canvas after canvas, their champagne glasses catching the gallery lights like prisms. But the warmth of the crowd didn't reach me. I stood near the brick wall, hidden partially behind a marble sculpture, watching the woman I had trusted more than anyone prepare to take her final bow in a performance that had been 3 years in the making. My sister, Vanessa, stood at the front of the gallery, radiant in a flowing white dress that made her look ethereal, artistic, untouchable. Her dark hair was pulled back in an elegant twist, and her signature silver jewelry caught the light with every gesture. She looked every inch the visionary artist the press had been calling her for the past 18 months. Beside her stood Marcus Hartwell, the gallery owner. His silver hair and expensive suit gave him the air of old money and refined taste. He was beaming, his hand resting possessively on Vanessa's shoulder as he gestured to the collection surrounding them. 23 paintings. Every single one mine. I watched as our mother, Patricia, pushed her way to the front of the crowd. She wore a burgundy gown that was too formal for the occasion, but she didn't care. This was her moment. She had been planning this night for months, orchestrating every detail to ensure Vanessa's triumph. She caught Vanessa's eye and gave her a proud nod, the kind of maternal approval I hadn't seen directed at me since we were children. Claire. I turned to see David, Vanessa's agent, standing beside me. He held a tray of canapés, but his hands were trembling slightly. His eyes darted between me and the front of the gallery, filled with something that looked like guilt. "You shouldn't be here for the unveiling," David whispered, his voice barely audible over the string quartet. "Please, just step outside. I'll tell them you weren't feeling well." "I'm perfectly fine, David," I said, my voice steadier than my heartbeat. "I wouldn't miss this for the world." "You don't understand," he pressed, moving closer. "I saw the program. The speech Vanessa prepared. This isn't just about the paintings anymore, Claire. She's going to make an announcement. A personal announcement." I looked at the man who had handled Vanessa's career for 5 years. He knew. They all knew. The whispers rippling through the gallery weren't about artistic technique or brush strokes. They were about me, the ghost in the room, the shadow that had finally been erased from the story. "Thank you for the warning, David," I said, straightening my simple black dress. "But I think I'll stay. I love a good plot twist." Across the room, Vanessa raised her champagne glass. The chatter died down instantly. The silence was expectant, hungry. She scanned the crowd, her eyes sliding past me as if I were just another piece of gallery furniture, already painted over and forgotten. She smiled at Marcus. The trap was set. They thought I was the victim. They had no idea I was the one holding all the cards. To understand the magnitude of the betrayal standing at that podium, you have to understand who Vanessa used to be. Or at least, who I thought she was. 18 months ago, Vanessa was the sister who brought me coffee in the studio at midnight when I was struggling with a commission. She was the one who held my hand at Dad's funeral and promised we'd get through everything together. The change didn't happen with a bang. It happened with a slow, creeping rot. It started in July. The calls got fewer. The studio visits stopped. I remember the first Tuesday in August vividly. It was humid, one of those sticky New York summer days where the air feels thick enough to drink. Vanessa showed up at my studio unannounced at 9:30 p.m. I was working on a piece for a private collector, a landscape with storm clouds. When she walked in, something felt off. She didn't comment on the painting. She didn't even really look at it. "You're late," I said, wiping Prussian blue from my hands. "I thought you were coming at 6 to help me catalog the pieces for the storage unit." "Got held up," she muttered, not meeting my eyes. She walked straight to my work table, running her fingers along the sketches I had pinned to the board. "Marcus wants to see my portfolio. He's considering me for a solo show next spring." "Vanessa, that's incredible." I put down my palette. "Which pieces are you going to show him?" She stopped. Her hand hovered over one of my preliminary sketches, a study of hands reaching toward light. Then she turned, offering a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It was a performance smile. A gallery opening smile. "I'm still deciding," she said carefully. "Actually, that's why I'm here. I was wondering if I could borrow a few of your older pieces. Just to fill out the portfolio. Show range." That was the first red flag. The casual request wrapped in sisterly trust. "Borrow them?" I said slowly. "Vanessa, those are signed pieces. They have my signature." I know. She waved her hand dismissively. "I'll give them back after the meeting. I just need to show quantity. Marcus wants to see that I'm prolific. You have so many pieces just sitting here collecting dust. You're not even trying to sell them. Guilt. The weapon of choice for a narcissist." I felt it prick at me, irrational but effective. "I'm not trying to sell them because they're studies," I said. "They're personal work." "Exactly," Vanessa said, her voice taking on a sharp edge. "Personal. Which means they're just sitting here serving no purpose. I'm actually trying to build a career, Claire. I'm trying to make something of myself. But sure, let's protect your precious sketches that no one will ever see." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "Wait," I called after her. "Vanessa, I'm sorry. Take 3 pieces. Just bring them back after the meeting." She turned back, and the smile returned. "Thank you. You're the best sister anyone could ask for." She kissed my cheek and left. I stood there in my paint-stained clothes, wondering why I felt like I'd just made a terrible mistake. 3 days later, I decided to surprise her with lunch. It was a desperate impulse, an attempt to reconnect with the distance I felt growing between us. I packed sandwiches from her favorite deli and took the subway to Marcus Hartwell's gallery in Chelsea. The gallery was a cathedral of white walls and polished concrete. I nodded to the receptionist, who gave me a tight smile that lacked warmth. When I walked into the main exhibition space, I didn't see Vanessa immediately. I saw my paintings. 3 of them were mounted on the wall under professional lighting. But they didn't have my signature anymore. They had hers. Vanessa's distinctive VH in the corner where mine used to be. I stood there, the paper bag crumpling in my grip, staring at my own work with someone else's name on it. "Claire!" Vanessa appeared from the back office. Her smile dropped like a stone, replaced instantly by a look of mild annoyance masked as surprise. "What are you doing here?" She walked over quickly, positioning herself between me and the paintings. "I brought lunch," I said, my voice hollow. "Vanessa, those paintings. You said you were borrowing them. You didn't say you were going to." "Going to what?" She crossed her arms. "Claire, Marcus needed to see finished work. I told you that. This is just temporary for the meeting. Your signature is on them." "It's a placeholder," she said smoothly. "Obviously I'm going to fix that. You're being paranoid." "Paranoid?" I looked past her at the canvases. "Those took me months to complete. That one with the figures? I painted that after Dad died. It was therapy." Marcus emerged from the office. He was holding a leather portfolio and talking on his phone. He paused when he saw me. "Ah, you must be the sister," he said, extending his hand. "Marcus Hartwell. Vanessa speaks very highly of you." "Does she?" I took his hand. It was cool and dry, his grip practiced. "Your sister is extraordinarily talented," Marcus said, gesturing to the paintings. "This collection she's building is remarkable. Raw emotion paired with technical mastery. She's going to be very successful." I looked at Vanessa. She was staring at me with an intensity that was almost threatening. Her eyes begged me to stay quiet. "Thank you," I heard myself say. "She works very hard." "I can see that," Marcus said. He checked his watch. "Vanessa, we should review the contract terms. Can we use your sister's visit as an excuse to grab lunch and discuss the details?" "Actually, Claire was just leaving," Vanessa said quickly. "She has an appointment." "Right, Claire?" "Right," I whispered. "I should go." I set the paper bag on the reception desk and walked out. As I pushed through the glass doors, I saw them in the reflection. Vanessa and Marcus, standing in front of my paintings, discussing terms. Discussing her future. Built on my past. The transformation accelerated after that. Vanessa started posting on Instagram constantly. Photos of her studio, which was actually my studio, taken from angles that didn't show my name on the door. Photos of her paintings in progress, time-lapse videos of brushwork that showed my hands, not hers, carefully cropped. She started going to gallery openings without me. She bought new clothes, sophisticated pieces that made her look established, successful. She stopped responding to my texts for days at a time. And the paintings kept disappearing. I kept a detailed inventory of every piece I'd ever created. It was a habit Dad taught me. He'd been a commercial illustrator, meticulous about documentation. Every painting had a reference number, photos of the work in progress, and notes about technique and materials. One night, I pulled out the inventory ledger. I started cross-referencing. 7 pieces missing from the studio. 7 pieces I couldn't account for. I opened Vanessa's Instagram. I scrolled through her posts from the last 6 months. There they were. All 7. Posted as new work from the studio. One of them, a portrait of a woman in profile, had been featured in a small art blog. The caption read, "Emerging artist Vanessa Hart explores themes of identity and isolation in her haunting figurative work." My work. My themes. My isolation. I took screenshots. I created a folder on my laptop. I documented everything. The following week, I thought I had caught her. I was visiting Mother for Sunday dinner. Vanessa was supposed to be there too, but she'd texted that she was running late. Working on a commission, she'd said. I got to Mother's brownstone in Brooklyn at 5. The table was set with the good china. Patricia was in the kitchen, arranging flowers in a crystal vase. "Claire, darling," she said, barely looking up. "Can you check on the roast?" I'm hopeless with the timer. I walked into the kitchen. On the counter, I saw Vanessa's phone. She'd left it behind in her rush that morning. It was unlocked. I picked it up. My heart was hammering. I shouldn't look. But I did. I opened her messages. There were dozens of conversations with Marcus, with gallery owners, with art critics. I scrolled through one thread with Marcus from 3 days ago. Marcus, the collector loved the landscape series. Wants to buy all 4. $45,000 total. Vanessa, perfect. Claire has no idea about market value. She'd probably sell them for $500 each. Marcus, your sister is talented, but she lacks ambition. You're the one with the vision to monetize it. Vanessa, she's always been like this. Dad babed her. Told her art was about expression, not business. Meanwhile, I'm the one who has to actually make a living. I stared at the screen. The words blurred. I felt sick. Claire. I jumped. Mother was standing in the doorway. She saw the phone in my hand. "What are you doing?" she asked sharply. It was buzzing, I stammered. I thought it might be important. Patricia walked over and took the phone from me. She looked at the screen. She saw the messages. For a moment, her face flickered with something, recognition maybe, or guilt. Then it hardened. "You shouldn't read other people's private conversations," she said coldly. "It's invasive." "Mother, did you see what she wrote?" "She's selling my paintings. She's stealing from me." "Stealing?" Patricia set the phone down on the counter with a sharp click. "Don't be dramatic, Claire. Vanessa is helping you. You create beautiful things, and then you hide them away. Someone has to have the business sense to make them matter." "They're mine," I said, my voice breaking. "They have my signature. My style. Mine." "Your signature that no one recognizes," Patricia interrupted. "Claire, you're 32 years old. You live in a studio apartment and survive on teaching watercolor classes to children. Vanessa is building something real. She's making the family name mean something in the art world. By lying, by being smart." Patricia turned back to her flowers. "You've always been sensitive, Claire. Ever since you were little. Your father encouraged it, all that talk about art being sacred and pure. But the real world doesn't work that way. Vanessa understands that. Does she understand fraud?" I asked quietly. Patricia's hands stilled on the flower stems. She didn't turn around. "I think you should leave," she said. "You're clearly upset, and I don't want you ruining dinner when Vanessa arrives. We can talk when you're thinking more clearly." I left. I stood on the brownstone steps, shaking with anger and disbelief. My own mother was helping her do this. I needed hard evidence. Evidence that couldn't be explained away or dismissed as jealousy. I went to my storage unit the next day. It was a small climate-controlled space in Queens where I kept older work, reference materials, and supplies. I pulled out boxes of preliminary sketches, process photos, and journals where I documented my artistic development. For every painting Vanessa had claimed, I had documentation. Pencil sketches dated 2 years before she'd created the final piece. Photos of canvases in various stages of completion, time-stamped and geotagged to my studio. Journal entries describing the emotional state that inspired each work. I spread it all out on my studio floor. The evidence was overwhelming. Undeniable. But then I thought about the art world. The politics. The he-said-she-said nature of family disputes. Even with all this documentation, Vanessa could claim we'd collaborated. That I was the one copying her ideas. That I was a bitter, unsuccessful sister trying to sabotage her moment. I needed something more. I needed someone objective. Someone with authority in the art community. I spent 2 days researching. I found her. Elena Rossi. She was an investigative journalist who specialized in art fraud and forgery. She'd exposed a major gallery owner in Chicago last year for selling fake Rothkos. Her articles were meticulous, devastating, and legally airtight. I sent her an email. I laid out the situation. I attached 20 pages of documentation. She responded in 6 hours. Elena Rossi, this is compelling. Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop in the West Village. Elena was in her 50s, with sharp eyes behind red-framed glasses and gray hair cut in a precise bob. She looked like someone who didn't tolerate nonsense. I showed her everything. The inventory logs. The progress photos. The Instagram posts. The messages I'd photographed from Vanessa's phone. Elena studied each document carefully. She cross-referenced dates. She examined brushwork in the photos. She made notes in a leather notebook. This is fraud, she said finally. Clear-cut intellectual property theft. Your sister is passing off your work as her own and profiting from it. Can you prove it? I asked. I can, Elena said. But I'll need to examine the physical paintings. I need to do forensic analysis of the paint, the canvas, the technique. I need irrefutable scientific evidence. How would you even access them? I asked. They're in private collections now. And the new ones are at Marcus Hartwell's gallery. Elena smiled. It was a knowing, slightly dangerous smile. Your sister is having a major exhibition next month, correct? Yes, I said. The Hartwell Gallery. It's supposed to be her breakout moment. Perfect, Elena said. She pulled out a business card. I'm going to attend as press. Marcus won't turn down coverage from Art and Authenticity magazine. While I'm there, I'll document everything. And then I'm going to ask your sister some very specific technical questions about her process. She'll lie, I said. Artists can lie about inspiration, Elena said. They can lie about meaning. But they can't lie about technique. Not to someone who knows what to ask. When I'm done, I'll have enough evidence to publish a full exposé. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? I thought about Sunday dinner. I thought about Marcus's hand on Vanessa's shoulder. I thought about Mother arranging her flowers and telling me to leave. Yes, I said. I'm ready. Elena leaned back in her chair. Then let's burn it all down. Which brings us back to tonight. The gallery. The champagne. The applause. I changed my strategy immediately after meeting Elena. I stopped confronting Vanessa. I stopped asking questions. I became the supportive, defeated sister. You're right, Vanessa, I said when she came to collect 3 more paintings the following week. I've been holding on to these for too long. You should use them. She looked surprised, then pleased. Really? Really, I said. You're the one with the connections. You're the one who knows how to make it in this world. I make things. You make things happen. I saw Mother exchange a look with Vanessa when I said this at Sunday dinner 2 weeks later. Victory. They thought they'd broken me. The night of the exhibition, I arrived early. I wore a simple black dress, nothing that would draw attention. I was just another face in the crowd. Marcus greeted me at the door with a tight smile. Claire, he said. How generous of you to support your sister. I wouldn't miss it, I said. I walked through the gallery. 23 paintings. I recognized every single one. The Lighthouse series I'd painted during a residency in Maine. The abstract pieces inspired by my grief after Dad's death. The portrait series of hands that had taken me 6 months to complete. All of them bore Vanessa's signature. All of them had plaques with descriptions written in her voice, describing her inspiration, her process, her artistic journey. I stood in front of the largest piece, a 6-foot canvas of a woman drowning in flowers. I'd painted it during my darkest depression. The plaque read, Vanessa Hart explores themes of feminine suffocation and societal expectations in this powerful centerpiece. Beautiful, isn't it? I turned. Elena was standing beside me. She wore a navy blazer and carried a leather bag. A press credential hung from a lanyard around her neck. Heartbreaking, I said quietly. I've been documenting everything, Elena whispered. Photographing the paintings, the signatures, the plaques. I've also been asking the other attendees about her process. No one can give me consistent answers. Because there is no process, I said. She didn't make any of this. I know. Elena's eyes were sharp. But in about 10 minutes, everyone else will know too. The lights dimmed slightly. Marcus moved to the center of the gallery. The crowd gathered, champagne glasses in hand, excited murmurs filling the space. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus began, his voice rich with pride. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate an extraordinary talent. Vanessa Hart has been a revelation, a fresh voice in contemporary art with a maturity beyond her years. Vanessa stood beside him, glowing. She wore the white dress like armor. Mother was in the front row, beaming. Vanessa's work speaks to the human condition, Marcus continued. Her technical skill combined with emotional depth makes her one of the most exciting artists to emerge in the last decade. And tonight, I'm thrilled to announce that she has been selected for the prestigious Thornton Fellowship. The crowd erupted in applause. The Thornton Fellowship was a $50,000 grant and a year-long residency in Florence. It was career-defining. Vanessa stepped up to the microphone. Her smile was radiant, victorious. Thank you, Marcus, she said. Thank you all for being here. This journey has been incredible. When I first started painting seriously 2 years ago, I had been painting for 15 years. I discovered that art could be a language when words failed. Each piece in this room represents a moment of breakthrough, a moment when I found my voice. My voice, my moments, my breakthroughs. I want to thank my mother for always believing in me, Vanessa continued. Patricia dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. And I want to thank my sister, Claire, for... She paused, scanning the crowd. Her eyes found mine. For supporting me in her own way. The condescension in that phrase was like a slap. Elena moved through the crowd. She positioned herself near the front, her phone recording. Vanessa, Elena called out. Her voice cut through the applause. Elena Rossi from Art and Authenticity magazine. Can I ask you a few questions about your technique? Vanessa's smile remained, but something flickered behind her eyes. Of course. The portrait series, Elena said, gesturing to the paintings of hands. Can you describe your underpainting process? What colors did you use for the initial layer? Vanessa hesitated. I use a traditional approach. Earth tones, primarily. Interesting, Elena said. Because these appear to have a blue-gray underpainting, which is quite unusual for skin tones. Can you explain that choice? It's about creating depth, Vanessa said, her voice less certain. Contrasting warm and cool. And the brushwork on the largest piece, Elena continued, moving to the drowning woman painting. You used a very specific technique here, almost like layered glazing. How many layers would you say this piece has? I don't count layers, Vanessa stammered. It's intuitive. Intuitive, Elena repeated. She pulled out a tablet from her bag. Can you explain why your intuitive technique is identical to the method described in this blog post from Claire Hart's website, dated 2 years before you claim to have painted this? The gallery went silent. Elena turned the tablet to face the crowd. On the screen was my blog post, complete with process photos showing this exact painting in my studio. Vanessa's face went pale. Claire and I collaborated. She helped me with some of the technical aspects. Helped you? Elena pulled out a folder. I have documentation here showing that Claire Hart has been creating work in this exact style for 15 years. I have her preliminary sketches, her process photographs, her inventory logs, all dated and verified. She spread photos across a nearby table. The crowd pressed closer. These are Claire's paintings, Elena said, her voice clear and authoritative. Every single piece in this gallery was created by Claire Hart. Vanessa Hart has been committing art fraud for over 18 months. The gasp that went through the room sucked all the oxygen out. This is absurd, Vanessa said, her voice rising. Claire is jealous. She's always been jealous of me. She can't stand that I'm successful. Jealous? I said. My voice came out stronger than I expected. I stepped forward, away from the wall. Vanessa, I painted that piece after Dad died. You weren't even painting then. You were working in marketing. That's not true, Vanessa said desperately. She looked at Marcus. Marcus, tell them. You've seen me work. Marcus was staring at the photographs Elena had laid out. His face had gone from proud to horrified. Vanessa, these photos, they're time-stamped. They show these paintings in Claire's studio 2 years ago. She backdated them. Vanessa screamed. She's setting me up. I have the original canvas receipts, I said quietly. I pulled them from my bag. With my name on them. I have the purchase records for every tube of paint, every brush. I have journal entries describing each piece. I have my professor from art school who can verify my techniques and style. Elena stepped forward. I've been investigating this for 3 weeks. I've interviewed 6 of Claire's former students who can identify her brushwork. I've spoken with gallery owners who remember seeing these exact pieces in Claire's studio years ago. This isn't a setup, Miss Hart. This is fraud. Patricia stood up. Her face was red. This is ridiculous. My daughter is a respected artist. You're just trying to ruin her moment because you're a failed painter with an axe to grind. Your daughter, Elena said coldly, is a thief. And you've been enabling it. The crowd was murmuring now, pulling out phones, comparing the photographs Elena had displayed with the paintings on the walls. Marcus turned to Vanessa. His expression was no longer proud. It was disgusted. Tell me this isn't true. Vanessa looked around wildly. She saw the faces of the collectors, the critics, the gallery owners. She saw their expressions shifting from admiration to revulsion. Vanessa, Marcus said again. Tell me you painted these. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Her eyes filled with tears. I can explain, she whispered. The Thornton Fellowship has strict authenticity requirements, Elena said. Submitting fraudulent work is grounds for immediate disqualification and potential legal action. A man in a gray suit stepped forward from the crowd. I'm Richard Thornton. I'm on the fellowship committee. He looked at Marcus. This exhibition is suspended pending a full investigation. The fellowship offer is rescinded. Vanessa's legs seemed to buckle. She grabbed the podium for support. No, she whispered. No, please. I worked so hard. You didn't work at all, I said. My voice was steady now. I worked. For 15 years. And you took 3 years of my life and claimed it as your own. Mother pushed forward. Claire, stop this. Stop this right now. She's your sister. She stopped being my sister when she stole from me, I said. When she let me believe I was worthless while she built a career on my pain. I turned to Vanessa. The drowning painting? I painted that after I almost died, Vanessa. I was depressed, suicidal, and you knew that. And you sold it. You put a price tag on the worst moment of my life, and you took credit for it. Tears were streaming down Vanessa's face now, but I felt nothing. Marcus removed his hand from her shoulder. You need to leave, he said quietly. You're no longer welcome in my gallery. Security appeared at the door. Vanessa looked at me one last time. There was no arrogance left. Just hollow devastation. Claire, please, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't forgive you, I said. She was escorted out. Patricia followed, crying loudly about injustice and conspiracy. The crowd stood in awkward silence. Then someone started to clap. Slowly at first, then others joined. They were looking at me. You're Claire Hart? A woman asked. She was an older collector I recognized from art magazines. You painted all of these? Yes, I said. They're extraordinary, she said. Why haven't I heard of you before? Because I was hiding, I said. I was letting my work speak for itself. I guess I should have spoken louder. Marcus approached. He looked shaken. Claire, I had no idea. Vanessa showed me documents, references. You thought wrong, I said. But you can make it right. How, he asked. Remove her name from every painting, I said. Put mine where it belongs. And let's talk about a real exhibition. One with my name on it. 3 months later, I stood in a different courtroom. This one wasn't beige. It had tall windows that let in the late morning sun, and it smelled of old wood and possibility. Vanessa sat at the defendant's table with a court-appointed lawyer. She wasn't wearing designer clothes anymore. She wore a simple gray dress that hung off her frame. She'd lost weight. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she wore no makeup. Mother sat in the back row, alone. The society friends who used to fill her calendar had disappeared the moment the story broke. Art and Authenticity magazine had published Elena's exposé 3 weeks after the gallery incident. It went viral. Every major art publication picked it up. Vanessa's name became synonymous with fraud. I sat in the gallery with Elena beside me. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Rebecca Chun, sat at the plaintiff's table with folders of evidence stacked neatly in front of her. The judge was a stern man in his 60s with wire-rimmed glasses. He reviewed the documents in silence for what felt like an eternity. Miss Hart, he said finally, looking at Vanessa, you have been found liable for copyright infringement, fraud, and misrepresentation. The evidence against you is overwhelming. Vanessa didn't react. She just stared at the table. You profited approximately $370,000 from the sale of artwork you did not create, the judge continued. You accepted a fellowship based on fraudulent credentials, and you damaged your sister's reputation and career for personal gain. He shuffled his papers. I order you to pay full restitution of $370,000 to Claire Hart. Additionally, you are permanently banned from exhibiting or selling artwork under your own name in any gallery or institution. You will issue a public apology and correction in at least 3 major art publications. The gavel came down. Vanessa's shoulders shook. She was crying silently. The bailiff stood. All rise. As we filed out, Vanessa looked back. She caught my eye. There was no arrogance, no excuses. Just devastation and something that might have been regret. I didn't smile. I didn't wave. I just watched her turn away. Outside the courthouse, the sun was brilliant. Spring had arrived, and the city smelled like rain-washed pavement and new flowers. Elena was waiting on the steps. How does it feel? She asked. Hollow, I admitted. I thought it would feel better. Like justice would fill the hole she left. But it doesn't. It just is. That's normal, Elena said. Betrayal isn't like a wound that heals cleanly. It's more like a bone that was broken and set wrong. You can fix it, but you'll always know it happened. Poetic, I said. You should write that down. She smiled. I already did. It's the closing line of my follow-up article about artists reclaiming their stolen work. Rebecca emerged from the courthouse. The payment plan is structured over 5 years, she said. You'll start seeing restitution within 60 days. And the paintings? I asked. All returned to your possession, Rebecca confirmed. Marcus has already arranged transfer. He's also offered you gallery space for a solo exhibition. No commission on the first $50,000 in sales. I nodded slowly. He's trying to fix his reputation. He's trying to fix his mistake, Rebecca corrected. But the offer is real. You should consider it. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown, Claire, this is Patricia. I need to talk to you. Can we meet? I'm at the apartment alone. I stared at the message. 3 months of silence, and now she wanted to talk. Everything okay? Elena asked. My mother wants to meet, I said. Are you going to? I thought about Sunday dinners. About the flowers in the crystal vase. About the way she'd told me to leave, to stop being dramatic, to let Vanessa shine. No, I said. I deleted the message. I have a whole life to rebuild. And for the first time in a long time, I get to do it on my own terms. I blocked the number. 6 months later, the Hartwell Gallery looked different. The walls were the same white, the concrete floors still polished, but the energy had changed. Tonight, my name was on the banner outside. Claire Hart, reclaimed. The exhibition wasn't just the paintings Vanessa had stolen. It included new work. Pieces I'd created in the aftermath of the trial. Raw, angry, honest pieces about betrayal and survival and rebuilding. The centerpiece was a new painting, larger than anything I'd done before. It showed 2 women back to back, drifting apart into different colored voids. I called it Severance. The gallery was packed. Real collectors this time, not just society friends looking for photo opportunities. People who cared about art, about story, about truth. Marcus approached me, holding 2 glasses of champagne. To new beginnings, he said, offering one. To honest ones, I corrected, taking the glass. A young woman in her 20s approached shyly. Ms. Hart? I'm a student at Pratt. I read about what happened to you. About how your sister stole your work. I'm sorry, I said automatically. Don't be, she said quickly. You inspired me. I almost gave up on art because I thought I wasn't good enough, wasn't connected enough. But you proved that the work matters. That truth matters. She held out a small sketchbook. Would you sign this? I took the book. I signed my name. My real name, in my real handwriting, on something that belonged to me. Keep creating, I told her. And never let anyone tell you your voice doesn't matter. She left with tears in her eyes. Elena found me later, standing in front of Severance. How does it feel now? She asked, echoing her question from the courthouse steps. Still hollow, I admitted. But there's space in the hollow now. Room to build something new. That's healing, Elena said. Slow, imperfect, but real. As the night wound down, I stood near the window, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I almost deleted it without looking. But I checked. Unknown, Claire, it's Vanessa. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know I'm getting help. Real help. And I'm sorry. For everything. I destroyed us both, and I'll live with that forever. I hope someday you find peace. You always deserved it more than me. I read it 3 times. I thought about responding, about saying something cruel or kind or final. Instead, I just closed the message. Not blocked. Not deleted. Just closed. Some chapters don't get neat endings. Some betrayals don't come with closure. Some relationships just end in silence, and that's okay. I had my art back. I had my name back. I had my voice back. That was enough. Betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the people who know exactly where to cut because they helped you build yourself in the first place. But here's what I learned. Stolen success is built on sand. Real success, the kind that lasts, is built on truth. My sister thought she could wear my life like a costume. What she didn't realize is that art isn't about the signature in the corner. It's about the soul in the brushstrokes. And you can't fake that. You can't steal that. You can only create it. To everyone who's ever had their work stolen, their credit taken, their voice silenced, document everything, trust your gut, and never stop creating. Your truth will surface. It might take time, but it will surface. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and subscribe. Drop a comment below, even just one word. Tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now, or just say heard. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here, you listened, and you understood. Because at the end of the day, that's all any artist really wants. To be seen, to be heard, and to be believed.